Today we're going to be doing another test with the 378 Weatherby Magnum. Now before I get into this particular load and my setup, I just wanted to give you a little history of the 378 Weatherby for those of you that don't know. It was created by Roy Weatherby in, I believe, 1953 in response to the creation of the 416 Rigby. He wanted to make a cartridge that had roughly the same powder capacity but shot the smaller 375 caliber bullet, and that's when the 378 Weatherby Magnum was born. Also, for those of you that don't know, the Federal 215 primer that many of us enjoy using in our various Magnum cartridges was designed with this cartridge in mind. At the time, there wasn't primers that were hot enough to create consistent ignition, and so Federal created the Federal 215 primer. The reason why I like this cartridge is because it is on the edge of either medium bore or large bore, depending on who you talk to. It shoots a wide range and weight of bullets, anywhere from around 235 grains all the way up to 350 grains. It shoots these bullets very fast. For those of you that are familiar with the 375 H&H Magnum, this cartridge here, the 378 Weatherby, will shoot any weight bullet about 400 feet a second faster than the 375 H&H. Now this particular load is the 260 grain Nosler Partition. This is a hand load of mine. I'm using Federal 215 Magnum primers, and the powder of choice for this load is H1000. Muzzle velocity out of my rifle is approximately 3,200 feet a second. It's going just over that, and they group about an inch at 100 yards. To give you guys an idea of how large this cartridge is, I'm going to put a 6.5 Grendel case next to it, and you can see that the 378 Weatherby dwarfs the 6.5 Grendel. In the upcoming days, the Colorado 4th rifle season is going to be starting, and this particular load is the one I'm going to be using. I have used my 378 on 2 occasions. One earlier this year on a cow elk hunt. It was more of a cow elk cull, and I have that on video. I used the 250 grain Sierra Game King, and then last year I also used it on a cow elk hunt, and I harvested a cow using the 300 grain Sierra Game King. While the bullets performed well, I will say it seems like with this cartridge, at least on cow elk, I have not had enough animal to cause enough resistance for the bullet. I will share a clip of that cow elk that I shot earlier this year, and you'll see the bullet splash on video about 200 to 300 yards behind that cow. The 250 grain Sierra Game King is a very tough bullet, and it performed well, but I was hoping to find something a little softer, which is why I've landed at the 260 grain Nosler Partition. The Nosler Partition, just like in the name, it is a partitioned bullet, and that front nose can expand down to the partition where there is copper in the middle of the bullet, and it won't expand any further down. And it seems like in my testing, the front nose of the Nosler Partition is softer than the Game King, but I also like the idea of that base being there to continue to drive deep. Looking forward to trying this out. I won't be sharing groups, and I won't be giving you velocity readings on this test because I have a limited amount of ammo. Ammo is not cheap in this, and I've already done the testing. So again, 260 grain Partition, using H1000 powder. Muzzle velocity is running just over 3,200 feet a second. Here's the rifle that I will be using in today's video. This is my Weatherby Mark V AccuMark chambered in 378 Weatherby Magnum. It was originally a 30 378 Weatherby, that I sent off to Randy Selby, and he rechambered and boarded it out to 375, and the rifle shoots well. I do have a cheaper scope on it. It's just a Vortex Diamondback, I think 4-16 scope. It's nothing special, but it works. That's what I have on it right now. And of course, I'm sporting the Harris bipod. I'm a huge fan of the Harris bipod, and I tend not to go on hunts without one. Let me shoot that one. Standing up or the left one? Standing. Yeah. Hi. Oh, she's done. That's it. Now, before we get to the shooting, I wanted to mention one other thing. Some of you may be questioning why use the 378 Weatherby on elk. Isn't that overkill? And the answer is yes, it is overkill. I've been fortunate enough in my life to be part of over 60 successful elk hunts, and I've seen cartridges used anywhere from 6.5 Grendel on the low end all the way up to 50 BMG. And one thing that I can say for certain is there is no cartridge and bullet combination on the planet and shoulder fireable rifles that will 100% of the time anchor an elk in its tracks. You may hear people say, oh yes, I've shot X and X number of elk with such and such a round and they don't go anywhere. And I would argue that either the elk, for whatever reason, decided not to run and it stood there and didn't go very far, or you hit it in the spine. Like I said, I've seen over 60 elk taken with various cartridge and bullet combinations, and there is nothing that I have seen, including with the 50 BMG, that will always anchor an elk in its tracks every time. Okay, so I have the water jugs lined up, and we are 8 water jugs deep. I've got 2 in the back, so technically about 9 deep. And then I've got some jugs to the side in case we don't have streamline penetration. I'm going to go back to a distance of about 75 yards, and we're going to see how these 260 grain partitions do in the water jug expansion test. Holy smokes, I mean, that jug got shredded. I've got parts and pieces of plastic going for, I don't know, 12, maybe 15 yards. Look at that. Looks like the first 4 jugs were absolutely annihilated. Jug number 5 here is split. Looks like we went into jug number 6. Number 7's missing water. I'm going to shut the camera off and we're going to see which jug that bullet wound up in. All right, here we are. Here is jug number 7. The bullet is resting right in between jug number 6 and number 7. That is some impressive expansion, and I always think it's kind of cool when they get stuck in between jugs. But we're going to pull the bullet out and see how it looks. So here's the recovered bullet, the 260 grain Partition from a muzzle velocity of 3,200 feet a second. As you can see, it is absolutely gorgeous expansion. It penetrated very deep, exited the 6th jug, hit number 7, and was stuck in between the two. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but you can see the base of the Partition actually started mushrooming out. That's how much torque and stress that bullet had at that speed. As you can see, absolutely picture perfect performance. And if I were to guess, this is going to be an elk hammer. Looking forward to trying it out. With any luck, I'll get to harvest an elk with it. But that's going to conclude this video. I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.